Alright, so it really looks like Drake is up these days. I mean, obviously we all saw that he lost in the rap beef and that it's just been downhill from there, but a lot of people may have misinterpreted my last video to me saying stuff like, oh, he's the greatest rapper ever and you aren't allowed to not like him. Listen, I don't care if you like Kendrick's music or not, even if I personally like it. I don't even care if you like rap, but don't like Kendrick's style of rapping. That's fine. You don't have to like Kendrick at all. But the thing is, he is just good at rapping. That was my only point. But speaking of which, Drake, who has been meat-ridden for 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, all of a sudden now is more L'd out than Meek Mill ever was. And the high schooler in me may be cool with that. But now that it's been some time, I'm a little annoyed because you all chose to act like this is the worst person ever and the lamest rapper ever, right when it doesn't matter to me anymore, right when I can't even talk to the Drake lovers in real life because I don't go to school or work with them. And I feel a way about it, honestly. Does that mean I wish Drake won the beef or something? Not really. Does that mean that I'm listening to Drake's new album? Not really. Does that mean that I care about Drake's music? Not really. But it does mean that I'm annoyed that all of a sudden Drake is considered like the lamest person ever, even though the same people saying it now were dick riding him for years. And the thing is, obviously, it wasn't even cool to dick ride someone in the first place, but I don't have animosity towards Drake fans. There's a lot of loser Kendrick fans. I probably dislike Kendrick fans more than Drake fans, to be honest with you, because you know I like Kendrick more. I've said it enough times in the channel. But Kendrick fans are the most annoying, double standard. They just suck, okay? And not all of them, obviously. People who think Kendrick's better than Drake, that's cool, because he is. But I mean, the Kendrick fans who have this deep hate boner for Drake, they're just lame and annoying. They don't hate Drake because of his music. They hate Drake because of his social characteristics. They don't like Drake as a person. And that's like whatever. Most of these rappers are trash individuals, but that's one thing. They are then translating that to music and being like, oh, this music it was never as good to begin with. It's like, where were all your voices 7 years ago? His music is not much worse than it was in 2018. And yet all of a sudden now it's like, oh, this is stale. This is trash. Everything he put out after the beef has not actually been trash except for that one, Hey There, Delilah song. But other than that, everything he's put out has been pretty his standard of music. There is a difference in how he is now and how he was before 2015. I'll give you that. And if you like the pre-2015 him, I understand. Not that I necessarily do, but I understand because there is a difference. But the thing is, these people are crying about him now. They didn't have a single problem with him in 2020 even. And I'm thinking, what's the actual difference besides the fact that now you can come out of the closet and say you hate him? I don't know which is worse. Actually, no, I do know which is worse. It's worse to be someone who liked Drake the whole time and was sneaking along with him and like, oh man, Drake is the best person ever. It's worse to be that person who now hates Drake because of the beef specifically. If you start hating Drake before the beef, then fine, whatever. If you liked Drake before the beef, but then hated him over something else, and then now the beef happened, then I don't have a problem with that. But if you hate Drake specifically because he lost a rap beef, you are a loser. That's even worse than the cowards who, when I was in the front lines, when I was in the trenches, openly not liking Drake's music. These losers now saying that, oh, Drake is finished, Drake is fallen off. Now they come out of the works to say, hey, actually, Drake was never as good as Kendrick, and Drake doesn't have the ability to make Kendrick's music. Now that I don't even hate Drake's music as much as I did before, it's just the most annoying thing ever. But yeah, it is crazy to see how much he's not what he was before. Even that For All the Dogs album didn't sell as well as it usually did, but it still sold well relative to all the other rappers. The only reason Travis sold more that year was because of bundles. As far as rap streams go, Drake was still very clearly dominating everybody else, and as late as 2023. But now they dropped that album with PartyNextDoor. Is just, the thing is, he's still doing more than most other rappers, even with that, but it's like a flop for his standards. It's less than Kendrick. It's less than The Weeknd. It's less than all these other people. It's looking dangerous for him. And some of Drake fans can, cope a little by saying, oh, well, it's a R&B album, which doesn't do as well as rapping. Also, it's a collab album, so it doesn't do as well. These things are both true individually, but the thing is, collab albums tend to do less than at least single for the more dominance of the two people collabing. And yet, despite that, Her Loss still sold more than For All the Dogs. So this new Drake and Party album selling low may actually be indicative of Drake not being able to sell records again. And this album had like a million songs on it too. It had an easy path to sell as much as it needed to. It just didn't because it's just not hitting the streets, I guess. That being said, on my Twitter feed, it's full of a lot of Drake fans. So all the people on my Twitter feed were like, man, this is an amazing project. It's the best thing ever. It's the best thing I ever listened to. And again, I didn't listen to it because I don't really listen to R&B all like that, so I'll just take your word for it, all the Drake fans. But at the end of the day, the wider audience does not seem that happy with it. And I think it's mostly because they're meat writing Kendrick. I think it's mostly because they just want to hate on Drake because it's the popular thing to do. It's the cool thing to do to hate on Drake right now, so they just gotta say they're just gonna hate the album too. But on one hand, this is also a misstep from Drake. I feel like if Drake just made a whole rap album, detailing his thoughts in a full view, and trying his hardest to make the best music he make without any features whatsoever, that would be a perfect indication of what he's actually done in the industry. Because if that came out and the Kendrick meat writers all hated it and they're strong enough to dictate the voice in hip hop, then yeah, I would say unequivocally Drake is done. But now with this little cop out, he has a chance to say, oh well, actually it didn't sell as much because there's a collab as R&B, which is also true. And he can say he's in a lawsuit with UMG, which also why it's not selling as well, which again is still true. But I also believe that even though him having these excuses, like having a collab album with somebody else and having it be R&B, does mean that it's selling poorly compared to his normal work, is less unexpected or is less of a tell on him than it would be if it was a solo album. I think it was an attempt to test the waters, and at this point in time, it'd be better off if he just made a full album by himself. And also, that lawsuit was not the move. I was gonna make a video back when it happened saying something like, I don't mind him suing UMG just because of them playing a song more than the other. That's one thing. If UMG's intentionally not playing a song, which I don't think they are, to be honest, I don't think his lawsuit has much merit. Maybe I'm wrong, but as of now, I don't think it's much merit. But I'm just saying, if he's suing UMG only because he's saying that it's unfairly boosting stuff that is against him, that's one thing. But he's sued for defamation, which is never defendable. If you're in the arts or you're like a rapper and you sue for defamation, that's not ever cool. Even though both lawsuits in general sunk him credibility wise, I was at least going to give him the benefit of the doubt for the not playing his stuff lawsuit. For defamation, this is one of the worst moves he could do. So not only has he been acting all the wrong moves, but he just hasn't been angling himself well. It just, no matter what, the K.Dick suckers would have hated everything he ever did and would have denied reality, whatever it was. They were even insulting push-ups, so nothing they say really matters. But that being said, Drake is not making this easy on himself. Drake has to actually do something, or else he's really gonna lose his whole reputation. Or maybe not. Maybe everyone's just acting up because it's only been a year removed from the whole beef. So now it's still cool to call him a loser and a washed and a kid toucher. But maybe in a year from now, when he hasn't done anything in a long time and he puts out an album, maybe then his stands will actually come out more and go back to what they used to be. But that being said, he is getting older, so I'm not sure if that's really going to be an option for much longer. And also, the stands have been trying their hardest with this new album that came out, and it doesn't seem to be working that hard. At least before. With all the stuff he dropped, which again wasn't even that trash compared to what I dropped beforehand, his stands weren't that willing to defend it. But now with this new Party album, they are in the streets of Twitter defending this album, and yet it is still not selling what it's supposed to. So it really does look like the album is not going to do what he thought it would, and his career will just never be the same. But there was a time for Meek Mill between the beef and between his later antics where people started to actually listen to him and give him credit for what it was due. So I don't think Drake is fully written off forever. I think that he will never be what he was before, and he's been irreparably taken down a step, I guess. But I do think that there's a chance for him to still remain one of the top leaderboards because, like I said before, this album may be a flop by his standards, but it's still, at the end of the day, doing better than most other rappers' albums. So he has that going for him at least. So all in all, I'll say all the guys on Twitter should stop dick-sucking Kendrick. And even though Kendrick may make better music than Drake, all it takes is Drake to go back in the studio and do one solid effort by himself, and maybe then he might be able to recover his spot at the top.